Okay, we'll go to Councillor number 10. Item number 10, Councillor Body. Give a notice of a motion here. Councillor Body, the opportunity to...
Mr. Chairman, for some considerable time now I've argued in this chamber that I do not believe that our Treasury management should be involved with investing ratepayers' money, which we in fact are trustees of in the share market. No one has accepted my argument, so I decided to actually register my concerns by bringing this motion before Council. I believe that we should seriously consider the risks of investing in that market. Through the Treasury management document which we're going to adopt, I think there's words like prudent investments and words along those lines. If we're going to prudently invest, I believe it should be outside the share market because of the risks associated. As my resolution actually has said, my wording to it, I've accepted that we have had some very good returns in that market. I'm not disputing that, but I don't believe as trustees of ratepayers' money we should continue investing in what I consider a risky investment. So I'll move it.
Okay. Do we have a seconder at all? Seconded by Councillor Cousins. Okay. Anyone else want to speak for the motion?
Can I ask what is an alternative suggestion?
I believe if you read the report that we've received, there are a number of investments that we have. This relates specifically to the TEL fund investments, which are in the share market. There's a thing called a bank.
Okay. Mr. Benhill, do you want to say anything?
Okay. Subsequent to receiving the notice of motion, I sought legal advice as to the position of council. And I'll read you a couple of paragraphs from that legal advice. First, unless there was a compelling reason for acting contrary to such a compulsory policy, which is what the Treasury Management Policy is, under the Local Government Act we are required to have a policy of this nature. The Council would almost inevitably lose any judicial review challenge to the decision if one was brought. That is because you cannot make a decision of this magnitude without going out for public consultation and all the facts being considered. The second real risk is that of the personal liability for the councillors themselves. While it is true that personal liability is rarely found, it would be more likely to be found if a council acted contrary to its own adopted policies and then suffered a loss from so acting. At this particular point of time, because of the downturn in the mining industry, the oil, the change to the Greek government affecting the euro market, etc., the unrealised loss, and I say it's unrealised, is about $950,000. So what this legal advice is saying is that should council make a decision today to move away from equity investments, i.e. that they were sold, that there is a very strong chance that the councillors will be personally liable to reimburse that $950,000.
Through the chair, I would say that's, to me, Mr. Mayor, that's rather scare tactics, because I don't think we're suggesting that we dump them on the market today. We have to be a planned exit to get the best return. That's rather alarmist.
Well, sorry, but that's what the motion on the table is, that council removes its investment in equities.
No, we can't be held responsible. And I suppose I've said this to you before, that it's not about faith or anyone's ability at all in this process. But is it good for council to be invested in the stock market? And I've searched a lot online to see what other councils are doing, and there's a lot of arguments for, there's a lot of arguments against, and I think with a managed exit strategy, no one's going to be liable.
The point in question is you have a Treasury management policy which has an investment strategy. To move away from that investment strategy, you need to go out and do a full public consultation as far as your Treasury management policy is concerned, which involves a new investment strategy, quite a complicated process that sits behind it. Currently the Treasury management policy is being reviewed by PricewaterhouseCoopers, as we've previously advised you, and it's not, when you've got such an important policy and there's a range of them, you cannot, under the Local Government Act, just go and act against your policy. There is a process that one has to follow.
Yes, so you're saying that we haven't got a process to be able to change
You
it?
cannot just go against your Treasury management policy.
No, but is...
And one other point too is that you have to also consider what that you're actually removing the delegated authorities that exist within that Treasury management policy as well.
What I would ask, so you are stating that there is no exit strategy for us from that practice?
There is an exit strategy in respect of all our equity investments. When we invest, and this is process, not policy, we have an exit strategy. And you've seen that operating as per that schedule of previous equity investments I've given you. I think the extreme situation is the investment into the National Australia Bank, which we actually held it for 7 days, because within 7 days the share price rose to the level that our exit strategy identified when we originally took those shares out. As far as our current shareholdings are concerned, there is a exit strategy, yes, on each of those investments, but we will be reinvesting into the market. At the current point of time, out of the 54 million in the TL fund, there is 5.7 million invested in equities. I do not prescribe that as being a high-risk scenario.
My final point, Chair, my final point would be, can we, when we've made a profit on a certain set of shares, sell them up and not reinvest that money back into the share market, compromising Treasury policy?
There have been times, yes, when we've had no equity investments, but if the market is attractive enough to potentially get some gain out of an investment of that nature, then we will go back into that market. But it's not a deliberate strategy to say we want to have 10% or 20% or 30% of the fund invested in that market. So, as I say, at times, like when the global financial crisis hit, we had no equities at all, because the market was just not sending the right signals.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor. Thank you, Mr. Mann, for getting a legal opinion on it, so we know where we stand. Councillor Jollins, I think, was next.
I guess for me, in many ways, this is a little bit of a chicken and egg. I think we need to go back and we've got the Treasury management policy we need to discuss. I've got some points I want to bring up when that comes up as an agenda item, whether that's in a draft or whether we're adopting it, because we have not cited the PricewaterhouseCoopers report yet. I personally don't have an issue with having some of our TEL fund in shares, but I think we need to have an opportunity to discuss our Treasury management policy and its performance without feeling like we've been closed down or the risk of $900,000 worth of liability charged at us as councillors. That is, to me, a bit of a scare tactic, and I'm not sure that that's appropriate in this instance.
Councillor Krasowski? Sorry, did you have...
No.
Yep.
I will voice my opinion if you like.
Sorry. Okay, well, Councillor Harvey.
I just wanted to ask, is there a certain level that we invest of funds and that's it? Like you mentioned about 5 million or whatever. Is that where we go?
Our investment strategy enables us to, and this has been the case before I arrived, that you can have up to 50 to 60% of your investments in equities. So you could in fact have 30 million.
Currently,
our policy
currently
has
it's at
been
about 6.
to be about 5 or
Well,
more?
it depends. As I say, we've been as low as 0. When I came on board, there was somewhere around 50% of the TL fund in equities.
Because the market was better.
Because it was outsourced and the external managers saw that as the right strategy. We've taken a far more conservative approach since we brought it in-house.
Councillor Park?
Thank you, Your Worship. Not taking away from you, Alan, at all. I really value your opinion and your expertise, but Rob, as the Council's Chief Executive, the policy states you have overall responsibility for the Council's operation. Are you comfortable with the current policy? That's it. Okay, thanks.
Just a point of clarification before I wind up. Mr. Manhattan's mentioned legal advice, etc., etc., etc. I got the impression from what he stated that if we wanted to change our Treasury management policy, we'd have to go to consultation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
If that is the case, why then has this, along with a couple of other issues, not been on the agenda to be discussed for the draft long-term plan?
Talked about several times.
And also, the changes that you've got in front of you with the Treasury Management Policy are quite insignificant changes. This is a significant change that you are proposing to the whole Treasury Management Policy and the investment strategy for this council. And this investment strategy has been in place probably for the last 15 years. So you are proposing a significant change which would require the full consultation process as far as the community is concerned.
Just wanted to confirm, we have discussed this several times before?
Yeah.
Yep.
Could you refer to when those specific discussions took place, please?
In our workshops, Uriel.
And did at that time, do we debate this issue, or did councillors just make comment on it? Remembering there was no voting taken because it was only a straw vote, if they were. Hence it's before council now.
I think we talked about it and you explained how it worked. And you've mentioned it before yourself that you've got no support around the table at that particular time. So we definitely have traversed the subject before. Okay, well, there's a motion on the table. John, Councillor Williamson?
Thanks through the Chair. I do support without preempting the next item on the agenda with the Treasury Management Policy, in principle, I support the policy as the strategy, the ISS as it stands. I sort of, with all due respect to Councillor Body, I can't agree with the using the word prudent and the risk level. It's not being prudent because, I mean, these management Treasury policy is to manage, is to measure, monitor and manage it in a responsible way, and I keep touching on Councillor Park's event of the strategy being adopted. The CEO is the employer, and he employs, becomes an operational manager, and manager. Okay, at the end of the day, if things don't go well, we're all on the same boat. But I believe, just my personal view, I have complete confidence in the policy as it stands.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson.
I have no further comment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Body, seconded by Councillor Cousins. Could I have a show of hands for the motion, please? Those against the motion? The motion is lost.
A call for a division, please.
Certainly Councillor Body and Councillor Cousins for, balance against.
Names have to be recorded.
Yep.
How they voted.
Yeah, wasn't that? Item number 6.
Item number 5.
Sorry, the new 5.
The old 5.
Yeah, sorry. item number 10. Yeah. Okay, Ariel, adoption of the Treasury Management Policy.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify a point, because you will have noted, reading through this item, in terms of the Treasury Management Policy, Mr Mehir is correct. When it comes to significant changes, you must consider those in the context for engagement and consultation with our community. The proposed changes that are sitting within this policy as it stands are of a very minor nature, and the Act allows you to adopt those minor changes without consultation. So it is around significance, and you'll note that that's contained in our significance and engagement policy. You'll also further note to that that's one of the reasons why our consultation document includes the options around the TEL fund, because that's moving away from what we've traditionally done and looking to have a change.
Okay, thanks, Ariel. Anyone have any questions or queries from Ariel? Councillor Jollins?
Through the Chair, thank you. Ariel, that was one thing I needed to clarify, whether you were asking us to formally adopt the TMP or whether you were asking us to adopt it as a draft to go out for, I guess, consultation as part of the audit process. I just wanted to draw our attention to a couple of key points. Firstly, we say that our TMP needs to be consistent with our LTP and our objectives, and I do question whether it's the correct process to formally adopt this right now when part of the changes, particularly in regard to the TEL fund, are going out for consultation. I don't believe that we should be adopting a policy that we are actually going out for consultation on. I note that you say that the changes are insignificant. I'm sorry, I, as a elected member, would have to disagree that it is not significant, because it is dealing with the TEL fund and what we want to strategically do with that moving forward. So I believe that is significant. The other second point I want to make, and one that not troubles me, but we have yet to receive the PricewaterhouseCoopers report, which is an audit of the performance of the TMP policy, as well as various other things, and how we've dealt with different issues on that matter in the past. I don't believe, from a governance point of view, it's prudent for us to approve a TMP policy until we've had the chance to review that ourselves as elected officials. I note that Mr Fox has said that there's nothing of significance to come out of that PricewaterhouseCoopers report, but I cannot approve anything that I have not had a chance to review yet or talk to PricewaterhouseCoopers about. I think we've got our processes slightly wrong on this one. Thank you.
Any comments, queries, questions? Ariel, do you want to answer any of that, or?
Sorry, there are two. Yeah.
No, that's right.
Sorry, I had a chance to think about it.
No, that's all right. I guess one of the things we need to think about in terms of the Treasury Management Policy is that at all times you must have a Treasury Management Policy in place. You can amend that Treasury Management Policy at any time. So, for example, if we adopted it today and the PricewaterhouseCoopers review comes back, you review that and you want to make further changes to your policy, then you can do so if you so wish. That's why we had put the paper forward as adopting the Treasury Management Policy as it stands. Again, you would also be able to change that following your choices for the final long-term plan.
Well, in that case, on that point, I think it should stay as a draft and we shouldn't be formally adopting it yet. We've got other policies in front of us that we're passing as drafts, but we're not fully adopting. I don't see why we can't do that in this one as well.
But you can change it at any time. Yeah. So next month.
But it comes down to what is a matter of significance as well, and our potential discussions with this community and what we're going to do with the TEL fund, I believe, are significant in that they're a huge area of interest to this community. So I think we should not be formally adopting this until we've gone out with the rest of the process and cited that PricewaterhouseCoopers report as part of the Audit and Risk Committee, which is our checks and balances for governance. We haven't done that yet.
through the Chair, on the basis that most of these changes are implementing the local government funding agency measurements versus what our current ones are, the intention is that it really kicks off from the 1st of July. I don't have an issue in deferring the adoption of it until we get those boxes ticked.
Just to clarify,
Final.
we've already got it. There is an adopted policy at the moment.
Yeah, we've got a current policy.
Policy at the moment. So the only changes in this is the local government.
Well, we've changed the wordings around the borrowing limits and the measurements that we currently use, as you would see by our current Treasury management policy. We show both the local government funding agency requirements and our existing Treasury management ones. We are adhering to the local government funding agency ones, and we temporarily breach one or two of our existing. So this is really updating those particular aspects of our Treasury management policy. If it's deferred, it makes no difference to our ability to do our job, because we do have a current Treasury management policy, but what we're doing is really bringing it up to speed with the current environment.
Councillor Cousins?
Through the Chair. So, Councillor Jollins, are you saying you want to change the recommended resolution to defer?
Yes,
Table it.
What do the other councillors feel?
I would support Councillor Jolin's suggestion.
Does it affect, you've said it doesn't affect our timelines, but...
I just wanted to raise the issue that, so one of the things that audit does is when they look at our consultation document is look at the underlying information used to prepare that, and the Treasury management policy is one of those. So my preference would be that we still adopted it today, but we adopted it in draft. That way it gives audit the ability to look at that.
As a draft, because
and then you can make any further changes along the way.
My understanding of the process is if we adopt it as a draft, then audit will look at it as part of the consultation.
Okay,
I'm happy.
Councillor Jollins, be happy to move that as a draft?
Yes.
Yep, cool. Thank you, Councillor Cousins.
Before the vote gets put, just one thing. I noticed on page 5/6, which is page 4, the word corporate, group manager, finance, regulatory, corporates lined out.
That's just an update of titles.
Well, I thought it might have been something to do with a pay increase, but...
No, that's a paid reduction.
One of your stars.
Got an extra word in there and a less pay.
Because unfortunately further on, corporate's left in. It's not consistent. You mentioned about nothing of significance. I've got the last long-term plan, borrowing limits 3.9, which is only a few sentences. 3.9 and the new one before us is quite large, and I still haven't got my head around what the significant changes are in the borrowing limits.
The major change there is aligning our policy with practice in respect of borrowing from the local government funding agency and other forms of borrowing, and really giving a definition of net debt versus gross debt.
Well, yes, we're talking net external debt as a new, compare with the old one.
Yeah, we didn't refer to net debt in the old one.
No. So that's what I'm trying
but as you'll see in the consultation document, there's references to net debt and things of that nature. So it's really just bringing it up to speed with where we are as a council.
One of the things that the report states is reporting to council monthly treasury reports. We haven't had them monthly. We do produce a monthly treasury report. Of course, following the end of the financial year, there's always a gap. But from memory, our December council meeting, we tabled a monthly, and you'll have a monthly for the first 6 months of the year tabled at the 25th of February meeting.
And, yeah.
Okay.
Just further, before we do anything with it, can I ask Mr. Menhanant, we had the 20 million or 25 million with that BBB plus rating, which was another resolution I brought before this council. Didn't proceed with it because apparently that no longer exists.
Correct. You passed a notice of motion in regards to that, which is not on the agenda solely because 2 weeks before you sent that in, we actually sold the ANZ corporate bond. Maybe it was a breakdown of lines of communication, but yes, we got rid of that, and we've got $4 or $5 million parcels with the registered banks at different maturity dates while we decide what the long-term investment will be for that 20 million.
And the ratings on those are?
They're all A's.
All A's?
Well, A or A plus. They're registered banks. The issue we have is because of the lack of corporate paper that's available in the market, that we are getting up near the limits of our investments into individual banks.
Well, if we're going to further discuss our policy, the previous council by resolution changed the rating of investments to that BBB plus. Does that resolution still stand as part of our policy?
They made that change in respect of that one investment, that they approved the retention of that investment subsequent to its drop in grading. It was nothing apart from that one investment, and as I say, we do not hold that investment now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Johns has moved the amended resolution, seconded by Councillor Cousins. No further discussion. Councillor Krastowski.
Just a couple of questions. First of all, the resolution would need to be amended to say draft.
That's right, we've done that.
And the second thing is that within the policy, within the draft policy, it refers to a couple of times to an annual plan. On a process or procedural basis, are we expecting to go through annual plans?
So what the Act now requires, you still have to produce an annual plan. It just depends on if the changes are so significant or require further consultation that you'd have to then go out and consult on those. You still have to prepare
of significance.
An annual plan.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, the council can have an independent trustee. Do we have one?
For the BNP? No.
Treasury management.
All right.
So we don't have an outside trustee?
I don't know. Do we? No.
We don't.
No, we don't. Okay. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Item number 6. Draft rates, remissions and postponement policies. Ariel.
As you'll be aware, so these are just, again, part of that suite of information. We held workshops on the remissions policies, and we took you through the existing ones, including the discontinuation of the transitional remissions policy, which expires at June 2015, and the addition of the water rates remission attributable to water leaks and natural disasters rates remission.
I was just going to just firstly comment that, yeah, absolutely delighted that national disasters are going to be recognised in these policies as the Emergency Management Chair, and like to move the suggested resolution.
Thank you, Councillor.
Recommended resolution.
Yeah, Councillor Cousins.
I just want to know on 6/9, what this is Māori freehold land and multi-ownership. What is the determination of multi-ownership? How many? 2?
I'm not the expert on that particular area of remission, but my understanding would be that would be 2 or more. But I don't know. I'd have to clarify that with Tony and get back to you.
Sorry.
Yeah, that'd be good to know.
What do you want to say that?
It may have something to do with how it's defined under in terms of the title.
Okay. Councillor Stosky.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things. Under 6(1), under the discussion points, we refer to a transitional remissions policy, but in fact there is no reference within the text of that I can see that refers to a transitional remissions policy. So should there be any reference whatsoever of that?
In the policies themselves?
Yeah.
No, because that one's been removed.
So should that not state that?
No, I wouldn't have thought so, because what we're saying is that here are our new policies. When you look at the consultation document, you'll note that it talks about that change. In terms of when we go out to consult, we'll talk about it with the community, but your policies should state what your actual policies are going to be.
So, but if you currently have a policy and you're going to delete it or get rid of it, should you not state that?
We have stated that.
Through the chair, Councillor, I think that policy lapses in July, so we're not deleting it, we're just letting it lapse.
Okay.
Is that clear? Is that correct? Because
That's right.
I had that question to clarify because I was a bit confused with the resolution. We're just saying we'll let it lapse, but we'll discuss that in the consultation document.
I was just going to clarify that in the last triennium we did set it for 3 years. It was decided at workshop level that there was no appetite to extend it, so it has in fact does not exist.
All right. Been moved by Councillor Park. Over seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Stewart.